This video will help you to structure your body paragraphs if you are writing an argumentation essay. So I want to start off with sort of an overview. You can see here at the top of the screen. There are basic parts to a body paragraph when you are building an argument. The first thing you want to do is start with the transitional word, something like for example, to illustrate, to begin, primarily, most importantly. Those words can help the reader to see what you're emphasizing at the beginning of the particular paragraph and how the paragraphs relate to each other as you go through your paper. The second thing is a topic sentence. So when you're thinking about your topic sentences, each one of them is one reason why your thesis is true. So your thesis is your main argument that you're making in the paper, and then each topic sentence, which should come at the beginning of the body paragraphs, will emphasize why this particular thesis is true, is factual, gives one reason why. Following that, you might need to explain or clarify your topic sentence, give more specifics about it. Sometimes it's helpful to just have one sentence after it that sort of narrows it or specifies what you mean. Other times that topic sentence is specific enough and it can sort of stand on its own, so that's your judgment call. Following that, then, after we've made this claim, you need to support it. So you can't just say, here's why, just believe me, right? You have to give some support. So support could come in one of two ways. It could come from a source, like an article, or make sure you do a citation if you include that, or it could come from something you've seen personally, a personal observation, a story, an example, maybe something you've experienced or something you've seen happen to people around you. The next thing you do after you give the support, if you don't just sort of give the support, after you give it, you have to explain how it connects to your overall point. So you have to sort of analyze, how does this example make my point true? And then finally, at the end of the paragraph, you want to emphasize your stance, your thesis one more time. It may feel like you're saying your thesis a lot, but you can't do it enough in an argument paper because people really need to stay focused on your goal. All right, so I have an example here. The thesis for my paper would be, diction is the key to mending race relations in the US. All right, so this is my stance, and I'm saying diction is the thing that we need to work on. And if you don't know what diction is, you can look it up, but it means your word choice, so the words that you choose. So here's an example body paragraph that takes into account the things I listed in the bullet points above. The first thing is a transitional word. I have the word for example here, followed by the topic sentence. For example, the words Americans use to describe people of differing races contain inherent bias. Then I have another sentence that explains what that means. The implied negativity may not be intentional, yet it exists nonetheless. So trying to take that whole thing about, but my words don't have bias, but, like sort of the people trying to defend themselves against that, taking that out of the argument and saying, you might not be doing it on purpose, but it's there. It's all around us, and there are lots of examples. To follow that, I give some evidence. So this is a source evidence. It's from an article. So I have a signal phrase here. In his article, I Racist, John Mehta gives some telling examples of this pattern. I'm introducing a quotation with a full sentence, so I put a colon there, and I have this example where a white person smoking pot is a hippie and a black person doing it is a criminal. Then I explain, analyze, how does this example connect to what I'm trying to say? This double standard pervades the media and demonstrates the bias of our conceptions on a diction level. Then I'm going to introduce some more support. Mehta further explains by sharing a news headline. Black and Muslim killers are terrorists and thugs. Why are white shooters called mentally ill? Okay, so there's another example of bias in the media. So bias in the news is troubling as it spreads to a large audience, and then we all digest those word choices. When people pay attention to this trend, they can find many more examples. So there I'm following it up, explaining why this connects to my point. Following that, I'm introducing more support. So in this paragraph, I'm actually using source material and personal observation, which you can opt to do if you like. This is a great way to build length in your paper if you don't have enough content. They may also notice its prevalence in conversations with friends and family, right? We might see this around us. For instance, here's an example. When my white family members are telling a story, they always mention the race of a person involved if the person is not white. It might be completely insignificant in their intentions, however, it always puzzles me. My aunt might state, I had a problem ringing up my produce at Walmart. The cashier, she was Mexican, didn't know any of the produce codes. I often mull over this diction, so here's sort of going into my analysis. Why was the nationality of the cashier significant to the story? Why doesn't she say the race of the cashier if the person is white in other stories, right? So here's more analysis. As this story demonstrates, the words we choose and the details we decide to include can say a lot about our inherent bias. Then going to the last sentence, which is sort of re-emphasizing that argument again, raising awareness of the bias in our diction would move us one step closer to better race relations. Okay, so going back up to the top, if you follow this template for structure and sort of try to expand in each section, give as much detail as you can, I think that you'll have a really good start to the body of your essay.